I'm Allison Vardy, and I coordinate the Solutions to Environmental Problems course at Loyola University Chicago. For the last 3 semesters, the course has been about problems related to the burning of fossil fuels, so the impacts on human health and on the environment. Loyola students have had a chance to learn about those problems from a lot of different perspectives, and they've had the chance to address those problems by building the biodiesel lab. Biodiesel production at Loyola University Chicago begins, I guess, in the dining halls. Most of the time using this wagon, we pick up waste vegetable oil from the dining halls on campus. The first thing that we do to get rid of the water and the particulates is we pour the waste vegetable oil from the dining halls into this settling tank. We pump the purified waste vegetable oil from the settling tank into the reactor tank. We react the triglycerides with the methanol and lye. You can see, as Zach's holding over there, the dark layer on the bottom, which is the triglyceride layer, and then the biodiesel is on top. So the next step in the process is to bring the crude biodiesel over to the wash tank. Both methanol and lye are soluble in water, so they're taken out, and because water is more dense than biodiesel, they settle to the bottom of this tank. So the next thing that we do is we dry the biodiesel. And we actually do that by pumping air through the biodiesel. This is a filter with a mesh that's smaller than the mesh in a fuel filter in a car, so it should be able to take all of the remaining particulates out of the fuel. And then this is just a biodiesel storage tank, which, as you can see, is full of finished biodiesel right now.
I'm Zach Wakeman. I'm the Assistant Biodiesel Lab Manager with the biodiesel program. And this is our brand new methanol recovery unit. By distilling the glycerin, we can actually recover this methanol to reuse it in the biodiesel production. And then we can also use that glycerin to create soap or to possibly compost with.
We're almost at the point where we can sell this fuel to the shuttle bus company, so that we'll have continued revenue coming into the lab, and we'll be able to continue to support the educational programs in the biodiesel lab.
Supermarket, symbol of the high standard of living in this country today. These products come from farms and ranches despite distance and season. They are the result of a miraculous agriculture.
So for the last 3 semesters in the STEP biodiesel course, our students have been telling us that they see a lot of problems in the food system on campus. As a result, we've answered by developing a course about food systems. A food system involves everything that is required in order to produce food in the fields and to get it from the fields to the consumer's plate. A really sort of simple example of a food system, one that I would consider to be a sustainable food system, would be one if a family that's growing food in their backyard. And that, I think, is in huge contrast to the global food system that we currently have today. When I think about the global food system, I typically, I think that it was sort of set on its current trajectory by the British Empire. The British Empire's desire for cheap tea to fuel their workers in the cities, to give them sugar, to have the energy to continue to work in the factories, and caffeine so that they would be stimulated while doing it, was coming from afar. So the British were bringing sugar in from their colonies in the Caribbean, and they were bringing tea leaves in from India. The combination of their desire for cheap food for their workers in the city and the fact that they had to go far to get it and often exploit workers in the global south are 2 components that we still have in our modern global food system. In the United States, in the early 70s, the politics of food was really transformed by Earl Butz, the Secretary of Agriculture at that time. Earl Butz came in during a time of extremely high food prices. President Richard Nixon at that time made it clear to him that his role was to make sure that that never happened again, that food remained cheap in this country. Earl Butz succeeded in lowering the prices of food in the United States to the extent that today the typical American spends about 10% of their annual income on food. An example of this is corn syrup, which was largely unavailable in the early 70s. But now the typical American consumes about 64 pounds of dried corn syrup per year. There are a lot of sort of externalities involved in the food system that make it unclear to me that this is cheap food that we're producing. Because Americans are eating a lot of this processed food and a lot of this corn syrup, we have a lot of disease in our culture. There's a lot of obesity. There's a lot of diabetes, there's a lot of heart disease. It's estimated that this costs us in healthcare costs about $250 billion per year. There's also a lot of environmental degradation that's incurred when you are planting from fence row to fence row. We're depleting a lot of the water in our aquifers, and at some point there's going to be costs involved. Our goal is to empower these students to know that they can take actions and make steps that make a difference. The students in this class are going to be trying to bring a farmer's market to campus in order to promote the use of locally grown foods. They're going to be doing analyses of the foods that are purchased in the Loyola cafeterias and looking at the carbon footprint, looking at the inputs and outputs, and trying to make suggestions for alternatives to the dining hall staff of what they could be purchasing that would be better for the planet. I believe our sustainability audit found that we were producing 2 tons of organic waste from the dining halls per week. So that's another way that we can reduce the outputs of our local food system, is try to compost that food and use that compost as a soil amendment. And additionally, the students are going to be trying to grow some food on campus. Maybe they'll be trying to get it into the cafeteria, just trying to shorten the length of the chain of the food system.